All I really wanna see is the money. I don't really need a D, I need the money. All a bad bitch need is the money. I got pants in the coop.
Welcome back to Kizzy-Unfiltered. And once again, we're in another location. We are here in my Michigan residence. So, in honor of being here in the great state of Michigan, I think it's appropriate to talk about a topic that we can all relate to. We usually will talk about it a lot, but then sometimes it's not always good. Sometimes it's bad. And that, before I even tell you what it is, please subscribe, share, comment, review. Please do all of that when it comes to Kizzy-Unfiltered. The topic is around family. So I am originally from the great state of Michigan. I adore this state, especially here on the west side. Western Michigan is fantastic. I'm telling you now, if you haven't ventured over on the west side, you need to. But when it comes to family, this is one of those things where often it's we take this view around them. So let me explain what I'm getting at. And that is, we have these goals and we have these desires in life. For me, I have set goals. There's goals that I have financially. There's goals that I have health-wise, although I really love chocolate chip cookies and chocolate and desserts and, and so, you may have goals relationship-wise. You may have goals with your kids or school. And what often happens is the people we think who are going to be the most supportive of our goals, of our desires, of just our dreams, they're not. And we don't really seem to highlight this enough and how to handle it. So there were times when, I'm going to share something with you all because it's unfiltered. And, it's just part of my life journey. I met someone on the internet and I went to Australia to meet them. And it's still crazy today, right? I guess maybe not as crazy because we have 90-day fiancé. So I guess it's got a new spin on it, right? So before it was you're crazy. You're going to Australia to meet someone. And my grandmother wrote me this letter, sharing how she did not want me to do this. And it was the most ridiculous thing I could ever do. But then today, it would be cool because then you could potentially be on 90-day fiancé. Isn't it funny how branding changes things? So that aside, not that I expected my family to be head over heels, that I was flying to Australia to meet someone I'd never met in person. It's about that support and expecting that those who are close to you, whether they're blood relatives or they raised you, that you have some kind of connection to them. The expectation is that they're going to be there. They're going to support you. They're going to always be there for you all of the time. And there are families where that definitely happens. And then there are times where that doesn't happen. And so it's a matter of how do you handle it? Because if you have family members who are there for you and you can call them and you can ask them questions and everything is amazing, then this may not be the episode for you. But if there are those of you out there who maybe your family was a little dysfunctional, like all of mine, and you wish you had kind of a lifeline and that you could share so much and you can't, then this is definitely the episode for you. So I'm going to share with you kind of how I've been able to just get through this and what I've kind of noticed works and what doesn't exactly work in this space. So the first thing that's really just super important when it comes to your family and how to handle just the nuances of them, you can only control yourself. That's just number one. You can only control yourself. And sometimes we, speaking for self, I've desired maybe like affirmation or just acknowledgement. It was things that I personally hadn't dealt with that needed to be dealt with. And so then as this adult woman, I'm now desiring things from my family that why is it up to them to give it to me? And also, how are they going to be able to give it to me? It's something that I have to get from myself. I can't make them be my biggest cheerleader. I can't make them want to support every idea and venture I have, nor should they. It would have been cool to have grandma come along with me to Australia, though. Y'all know that's right? So you can only change yourself. The other thing, and I really encountered this with entrepreneurs, I'll hear this all of the time. Like, my significant other, they're not really sure about the path I want to take, or, oh, I shared this idea, and once again, my mom took all of the air from my sale. Or personally, when I was first losing weight, because I've kept about 100 pounds off for a really long time. And I thought, oh man, my friends and family are going to be so excited about it. And what I found is there's just this overall disappointment because you expect that they're going to be there for you and then they're not. So the way to really handle this, and just please go there with me, is sometimes you have to get that thing you're seeking from a stranger. But you got to hear me out. So like when I was first losing weight, and even recently I've lost some weight and I have other weight loss goals, usually complete strangers will say something like, oh, wow, I really like how that fits you. Or, oh man, I've noticed like you're making progress in the gym, or you're making progress in this workout class. And hey, I always assume good intent. So I'm not trying to say somebody's trying to date me or anything, but it's like, okay, that's really cool. They're acknowledging it and they're also in that space, right? Because we expect someone, just because they're related to us, to support us when they're not in that space. So if you have a loved one who isn't supporting your entrepreneurial journey, chances are they're probably not an entrepreneur. So how can they give you this thing that you desire when they're not there? It becomes challenging because they're not there. So get it from the people who are there, from other entrepreneurs, be it on some kind of social media platform, be it some in-person group or a meetup, or that's where you're going to be able to get what you're seeking, and that is support. That's really what you're looking for. Support, unconditional support. The love and affection, you want to get that from, you have to go another route for all that. But at least when it comes to, a lot of these areas, it just then becomes this vicious cycle of like, it's almost like you're asking for this permission and it's like you expect it to change. Like, no matter how many times you share an idea with your mom, she's going to be critical of it. Or how many times you share something with your father, he's going to point out all the times you tried something and didn't do well in it. So why keep doing it? That brings me to the next thing, is repeating behaviors and thinking, this is going to change. That I guess somehow magically things that happened in the past are like not going to continue happening. So I'm an industrial organizational psychologist. I have a Ph.D. in industrial organizational psychology. And there's this like saying that they would say that is past performance or past behavior predicts future performance, or future behavior. So how this applies to your family is, if you already know how they're going to respond, then why even go there? Why go there? There's no reason to go there. Does this mean that people can't change or there's a judgment there? No, it's just a matter of taking that energy and placing it somewhere else, because they may not understand. They may not understand your desires to blossom as a content creator, or they may not understand why you're on OnlyFans. What matters is, if you like being on OnlyFans and that's something you enjoy, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. And so just coming to terms with that past behavior, that past performance definitely predicts future, and just going about life on your own as who you are. Because what I've also noticed when it comes to family, that it'll then turn into like this impediment where you have this energy, you're ready to go forward. For instance, I was speaking to this woman earlier, and she's got all this passion around being an entrepreneur, and she really wants to go with it. She got all these great ideas, like she's super all about it. But then somebody really close to her is not in agreement. And so she's now putting that idea and that plan on hold. And, we each have our own lives, we each have our own relationships, and you can't change anyone, but it's about, what do you want? Is settling part of the package? I don't know. I settled for many years in different aspects of my life, and it sucked. I'm glad that, it taught me a lot of lessons. I feel like that's like our way of like justifying the suffering. Like, I grew as a woman. I'm so much better. I wish I didn't have to go through any of that. Can't I just like speed through that part? But, so it's this matter of also thinking about that. Are the family members or family member really holding you back and preventing you from going forward in that area that you really want to pursue? And the next thing, and this is extreme, but I want to put it out there because it's Kizzy-Unfiltered, and it's important to talk about all of these things. And that is, sometimes when it comes to our loved ones, no matter all of the awareness about you can only change yourself, or that, past performance predicts future, or just even realizing that you got to get that thing from strangers. And that is, you have to sometimes set really, 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 really tight boundaries, or maybe remove family members from your life. And I get, like, maybe even hearing that, you might be like, what? Like, what do you mean remove them from my life? They gave birth to me, or they raised me. No one's taking away from that whatsoever. But if you're like pretty much over the age of 18 and you're not living with them, or they're not paying your bills, it's okay to make sometimes these tough decisions. If it gets to that point, if it gets to the point where it's super, super, super toxic and it just is so draining, what's wrong with that? So you're supposed to accept all the toxicity, all the negativity. You're supposed to accept that because they're family? No, that's not what love is. It's not at all. And so there may come these times where you can no longer see or engage with that particular family member, which if it gets to that point, is something, it's a place where you definitely want to find others to lean on, or maybe even seek professional help, because you don't just need professional help if you're depressed or if you have a severe persistent mental illness, it's also helpful to have professional help, just like in the moment. It doesn't mean you have to see this person for 20 years and, it becomes part of like this conversation, like, oh, my therapist, like, you can just hire someone to help you for in the moment situations. And especially if you go that far to remove someone from your life, it may be something where you really need a lot of assistance. I know Gary Vee he's talked a lot about this, and you can definitely find older clips where he talks about like just cutting these people out. I mean, he's very blunt about it. And, he likes to use lots of curse words. He definitely is unfiltered most of the time. And it's just something to ponder, and I give you full permission. That's the other point of this, of having these conversations around Kizzy-Unfiltered, is giving you that permission that just doesn't really exist out there, because we either don't want to talk about it, or we think our coping mechanism is okay, or we think it's good enough in the moment. Because the other thing that can happen when it comes to family is you never can give enough to them. And this is above and beyond like entitlement. This is almost like you are the source. It's almost like you're now their oxygen, you're their heart, you're their brain, and like you're everything that's needed to be alive, right? And that anytime you don't give them what they want, it becomes a problem. And I definitely understand the difficulties with that, especially if it's something that you encountered as a child. Because then when you become an adult, and not only an adult, but if you become an adult with a little bit of money, or they view it as a little bit of money, then it puts all this strain on you, and they're expecting you to help them out. I also want to say, I understand that there's cultural nuances. I understand all of those things, but I'm still going to say, at the end of the day, the only person you can control is yourself. And putting yourself in a really horrible position to help out a loved one, well, how is that going to help out? How does that help someone out if you're constantly enabling them? Now, I'm going to put it out there. Especially if a person lives in the United States and has a cell phone, there are so many amazing things you can do. And if you want to reward bad behavior, or reward, I'm just going to say laziness, or reward somebody who feels like they're entitled because you're related to them, all it's going to do is just cause more stress and heartache and heartbreak. And it's just going to be horrible. And then you're teaching other people around you to do the same thing to you. And they probably are doing the same thing to you. I mean, this is something that I also wanted to bring up today, because this isn't just exclusive to our families. These types of behaviors spill out in romantic relationships, friendships, workplace, anything involving relationships. And so if you have family, quote unquote family, who's looking to you as the source, you really have to reevaluate things. And if you're the source and you're like, oh, it's not a problem, I'm cool with it, I'm still living an amazing life, by all means. But if that's not the case, then you definitely have to reevaluate, because the asks are going to continue and continue and continue, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it can be so draining. It can be so draining. The other piece when it comes to just family is, you have to think about your health and your wellness. One thing is that we don't talk enough about is just really looking at our genetics and looking at just kind of like the overall health of our loved ones, in addition to what we consume. So as I kind of matured to this beautiful lady here, and also, please, y'all, I still have my curls. It's like push back. I'm going through this like hair in a bun phase is what I've been feeling recently. So as I was maturing as a woman, I really wanted to learn about my birth family. And I thankfully was blessed enough to locate information about them. It only took a couple of months. And this was well before Facebook. So it was not a Facebook reunion, in case you wonder. So my birth family lives here in this amazing town in Western Michigan. And one of the reasons I wanted to reach out and get to know them is because I had no information about my medical background. I had no idea. I just knew like I didn't have sickle cell. So if you think you may have sickle cell, please make sure you get tested for it. I think you only need to be tested like once in your lifetime. So I knew that. Otherwise, I had no idea. So I got all this health information. It's very helpful. And, life has since gone on. And now that, I'm at this place where we're so public as a society, and you'll see and hear, this person's hospitalized, or this person just broke a record for a race, or, this person just entered their first bodybuilding competition, or this person now has cancer. It's like become this thing where like we accept it, like there's all these ailments, there's all these things happening, but we don't really look closely at, okay, what's going on in our family or in my family, and what can I do to prevent things so that it doesn't happen to me or to my loved ones, like your children or anyone else that you're genetically related to. And it's something that I just really emphasize doing because denial is not a good place to be. It's not a good place at all to be. So it's not just the kind of the support side or the emotional side or kind of going through these things that you didn't get through as you've grown. It's also that health and wellness side. Because if your health and wellness is not in a good place, it doesn't matter how much money you have. Money doesn't beat cancer. It really doesn't. I mean, unless, the person that did, like they didn't tell anybody. So it's really important to be really well aware so you can plan accordingly, that you can, based on your health beliefs, that you at least are aware, or you're aware and you're like, I don't care. You can behave, you can respond like that too. But what's important is to really dissect and dig. I mean, especially when you have like 23andMe, you have all of these services out there. Not only can you find out more about your genetics, but you can also find out about things about you or how you process food, or do you have allergies. It's really important to pursue looking into all of these kinds of things, because if not, there's nothing else to really say, because then it's like, what more do you have, right? And like you have to be able to focus in on your health. And one other thing is, as you make these changes, these adjustments in your life, stay the course. When you ask these tough questions, they may be tough for some families around health or wellness. You stay the course. If you decide, hey, I need to cut off my mom, dad, cousin, aunt, uncle, brother, sister, or your own child, you stay the course. Because you can only change yourself. And there are millions of people out there, complete strangers, including myself, who has no problem giving you your flowers, supporting you, lifting you up. Because there's the things we want from our family. There's a lot of wants, right? You may want a certain car or a certain husband or wife, or you may want your kids to all be doctors, but guess what? That's nothing you can really do about it. So, so it's just good to be okay with it and get this kind of validation and support from strangers, because there's really nothing in it for them. They're not doing it because you're related. They're not doing it because they know that you're going to pay their rent. They're not doing it because they know that you're going to be there to continue to support them, or you're going to enable them. They're doing it because they just care, or they're nice people. So as I spend my time here in Michigan, I definitely look forward to spending time with my amazing family, but also realizing, as I share with you all too, is you have to put yourself first. That when you engage with your family, you're around your family, you're going to all these lovely family events, that you put yourself first and you do everything that you need to do to make sure you're in a healthy position. Because again, without your health, there is nothing. And today there's so many different treatments and approaches you can go for your mental health, for your wealth, for your physical fitness. It's like unbelievable the things that are out there. Like I just went through something at the Carillon Hotel in Miami Beach, and I'm just like blown away, like what they're doing and all these treatments that they have. It's just mind blowing, but it's so exciting because more and more people are becoming aware of just overall wellness. So took a different kind of turn today, but it's really about you being well and realizing that it's not about, their family. It's about you. It's really about you. So everyone, make sure y'all subscribe. Make sure you like. Make sure you comment, because I adore each and every one of you. And I'm here to always lift you up and to support you. And, if there are special people out there who do that for you, recognize them. They may not even know that you have this kind of place in their life. So make sure you do it. And thank you all again for tuning in to Kizzy-Unfiltered.
Glutathione is a big word. It's the body's own master antioxidant. It's a scavenger for free radical, bacteria, and viruses. There are no products in the market with the ingredient NASET. NASET increases the production of glutathione that's in our body already to strengthen and enhance our immune system, elevate sense of well-being, support muscle strength and endurance, cognitive function, and liver support. It helps with increased energy and blood sugar regulation. Get your bottle of GSH Plus from www.salvationnutra.com.